So what I generally do is give you the opportunity right here, right now, to do what many people don't do throughout the week, and that's just to breathe, right? To just breathe, and wherever you are right now, however you're listening to this, just really pay attention to your body, right? Move from here where we are the vast majority of the time. If we're in business and we're struggling, we're stressing, we're worrying, we're thinking in the future, we're dwelling on the past, we're all in our head. Me too. It's this opportunity where we can move from here down into our body. So a way to do that is to just take a deep breath and out. And again, breathe in and out. And one more, in and out. Now, just take this time for yourself to just feel what's going on in your body. Feel all the vibrations, sensations. Feel some places of tension or relaxation. What do you feel in your legs, your torso, your stomach, your chest, your arms, your neck, your head? Just pay attention to your body and give yourself this gift. What do you feel? What are you feeling right now? If some of you want to share in the chat what it is you're feeling, what's coming up for you, whether it's a sensation, physical, whether it's an emotion, feel free to share with the group. This is going to be, it's going to be really, really cool to see the insights you come up with. Warmth in my hands, tension in my neck. Awesome. When I sit with myself, I get a lot of tension in the chest. And sometimes when I pay attention to that, it moves to a bit of a warmth as I pay attention more to my body, pay attention more to my heart. Vibration in my legs, says Barbara. Awesome. Feel that. Great. What we don't do very often is pay attention to our body, right? But that's where a lot of the answers lie. A lot of the answers. Feeling emotional yet filled with gratitude. Great. Jess, I feel my toddler trying to crawl on me. Great. Baby wants to nurse. Need to reach deeper. Now tension in my jaw. Great, feel that. Pulse, like tightness in the middle of my back. Great, feel that. Welcome it. Welcome it. Welcome all of this. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. It's just feeling our body, right? Now, why is this important? A lot of you who have been following my work, following these calls, who have been jumping on a lot of the content, doing these exercises will know the reason why we want to pay physical attention to our body and move from our head into our body. Now, the head is also a great tool, right? We don't want to be at conflict with any side of us. So that includes our head, that includes the warrior, right? That includes everything. So what you want to do is pay attention to your body. And the reason being is because every single time you have fear, every single time you have doubt, worry, frustration, overwhelm, all these emotions that come up in the business world, that show up in our physical body, what you're feeling is a side of you, right? A side of you that has a particular story, a side of you, a younger self that's learned a pattern that says something needs to happen externally, or I need to be a certain way internally in order to feel enough, right? In order to feel enough. And if I'm enough and I'm worthy, I can be worthy of love, which to me means my very survival. I'm going to be diving in deep into these sort of topics. I've got a bunch of books on the way. I'm doing a bunch of courses online. So I'm happy to share every single insight that comes to me with this community. But really what you're feeling internally whenever you have fear, doubt, frustration is just your younger self, right? A younger, what we call your 5-year-old self, a younger you that has a particular belief, a particular pattern that says, I need to be a certain way. I need to have my life be a certain way for me to feel enough. So that's what you're feeling. And when you welcome it, when you feel this fear, when you feel, whether it be in your legs, your back, your stomach, your eyes, right, your chest, when you feel this and you allow it to be there and you welcome that emotion, right, welcome and feel the emotion of fear, of doubt, of worry. When you welcome it, and you also can pay attention to your heart, what you do is you provide that loving, safe space for that 5-year-old, the loving, safe space they wish they had, right? The loving, safe space they wish they had. And when you can start to love those sides of you, 2 things happen. 1, you realize that you're the observer of those emotions. You're the observer of those patterns, right? You're not fearful. You're the one observing the fear. You're not worried. You're the one observing the worry patterns. And then also when you start to feel, you start to welcome, you start to acknowledge all of that, those patterns can actually start to dissolve. Many of you know all of the fear that continues to exist is doing so because you think it shouldn't be there, because you're resisting it. But no fear can continue to exist if it is seen, if it is heard, if it is understood, if it is loved unconditionally. So feel this, take some time to feel this. I've been doing this basically 2 hours a day for how many days now? It's been about 75, coming up to 90 days. So feel this, welcome it, right? Breathe with it. So while you're doing this, I want to bring up a topic. I want to bring up a particular area that a lot of people message me about, and me too. And that is that, like what we came up with last session as well, is the fear of not knowing what to do next, or the doubt of, I don't know what to do, right? I don't know what to do next. That's not the problem. I'm sure you can see now, when you tap into this, you know that that's not the problem. The problem is you think you shouldn't feel that way. The problem is you think it shouldn't be there. You think you should know what to do next. Right? So think about your business and think about your next steps. And if you're unsure on what to do next, or if you're unsure on what's going to happen, I'm sure you can see now that's not the problem. Many people get stuck in business because they think that's the problem. They think they need to know what to do. But when you do this work and you look internally, you can start to see the problem, the challenge is that you think it shouldn't be there. You think that doubt shouldn't be there. You think you should know what needs to happen next, and you should know what to do next. Me personally, I'm going through this a lot. I'm really starting to shift my niche, shift my offer, right? Come up with some sort of a new offer, and a new way of presenting what I do and how I do it, and new results that I'm getting clients. And I have no idea. And I love that. I'm welcoming the uncertainty, right? I love the side of me that thinks I need to know what is going to happen next. You have a younger you that says, if we don't know what's going to happen and we take some action and we fail, we're going to feel not enough. So this, when you're feeling your body and you're breathing this type of call, this type of session gives you the opportunity finally to see that younger you. See it, acknowledge that younger you, love that younger you that thinks you need to know what is going to happen next, that you need to know the next steps. Right? Love that younger you that thinks they need to make money. Right? Love the younger you that thinks they need to make money in order to feel enough, in order to be secure, in order to be safe. Love that younger you. Give yourself the opportunity. Is this resonating with people? I see, Jess, it's resonating with you. That's awesome. Does this help you guys? Well, type in yes if this is resonating, if this helps. And more than happy to answer any questions. Yes, yes. Yes. Awesome. Good job, good job. Now, what you may find, so Stephen's saying, this morning on my walk, I got to hug my 5-year-old self for the first time. Wow, powerful. Guys, give Stephen a round of applause. That's powerful. And what you guys will find is that when you are able, first of all, I hope you don't mind me saying, Stephen, but I went to a business event with Stephen the other day, and he bought me some earpods. He bought me some of the earbuds put in your ears. He said, just thanks for what you're doing in the community. And that was really, really cool. So those who want to know Stephen, reach out to him. He's a very, very generous, insightful man, and a very key part of this community. So feel free to reach out to him and add him to your business network. And so what you may feel when you have these emotions, when you feel this younger you, and you finally give yourself the opportunity to hug and provide the loving, safe space for this 5-year-old that thinks they need to know the next steps, what you'll start to realize, consciously or unconsciously, is that all of the answers are in you. Right? In your next business steps, in your next steps in your relationships, in your next personal steps, whether it be health or fitness, whatever you're working on. There's a side of you that thinks you need to know the steps. Therefore, you can observe that side of you and love that side of you unconditionally. And while you're loving that side of you, you realize you don't need to know the steps. In fact, the more you do this, the more you pay attention to the loving space, the more you pay attention to your heart, the more you can be guided by something bigger, right? You can be guided by something bigger. And therefore, you can start to realize that all the answers are within you. All the answers are within you. They're not necessarily something you learn, you need to know, you need to practice. All the answers are within you. You know, you can listen to your body, and your body will tell you. Right? Your body will tell you. Your body will always tell you, will always give you an indication on what to do next, just that one next step. And the more you listen to your body, the more you'll start to see where you can take some lessons, right? Where you can learn, where you can see things from a different point of view. The more you feel your body. Kerry, I have a new piano student. Awesome. He has autism and is so concerned about needing to know all about upcoming levels. Okay, awesome. So he's great to learn from. Perfect. Hannah, I'm giving the 5-year-old permission to show her toys out the cot. Awesome. What happens, maybe you guys can type in the chat, what do you feel, what comes up for you when you start to provide that loving, safe space for this 5-year-old? This 5-year-old that is scared, this 5-year-old that is worried, that they think they need to know all the next steps. They think they need to make some money. They need to get more clients. They need to grow. When you love this side of you, you can provide that safe space for that 5-year-old. What comes up for you? Can you start to see that this is a place of safety? This is a place of security. Not going out and achieving. Andrea, welcome. Haven't said hi to you yet. Self-acceptance. Andrea, I went through the realization while meditating that my business doesn't quite align with me, which is why I feel like I can't fully commit to it. Awesome insight. When you start paying attention to your body and your emotions, you can move to an energy level, right? And you can start listening to that energy that's coming up. And when you paid attention to your body, you can start to tap into what feels aligned with you, the people that feel aligned with you, the opportunities that feel aligned with you. What feels aligned with me right now is to take a drink of my green tea. Self-acceptance, a new level of comfort and security. Big, big. Have fun and trust myself, says Mel. My 5-year-old doesn't think this way. My 5-year-old is full of fear, confusion, doubt, and survival. Awesome. Feel that. Feel that. Barbara, I find myself smiling at myself. No money at all in the equation. Exactly. Exactly. Just feels calm. Now everyone's smiling at everyone. What a travesty. Now, let me present something to you guys. Let me present something to you guys that might blow your mind for a little bit. But when you start to think about this throughout the week, right? From the next time we have the next call, it'll start to pop up in your head. So you can start to see now that you have a 5-year-old that needs to know all of the steps. You have a 5-year-old also that thinks they need to achieve something in order to feel enough, right? We all know this at some level. Whether you're on the call now for the first time or whether you've been following for a while, you can start to feel you have a 5-year-old that thinks something needs to happen in order for you to feel enough. Now, to me, when you start to step away and start to observe these patterns, what you can start to see is if you operate from that place, one of the worst things that can happen for your development is to actually achieve what that 5-year-old wants. Now, some of you may be jumping off this call right now and say, holy shit, you can't say that. If you're not going to help me achieve my goals, I'm out of here. That's not what I'm about. All of you guys know in the community know that's not what I'm all about. But let me present this as a scenario for you so that it can just shift the way in which you see yourself. So you have a 5-year-old that wants to achieve something, more clients, more income, more freedom, right? Whatever you want to achieve in life. Now, if you feel like you need to achieve that in order to feel enough, you'll be filling a void within yourself, right? That external circumstance will fill a void within you that says, okay, now I'm enough. So almost like a drug addict needing a fix to feel something within themselves, that can often be what success is, right? It can often be what success is. If you feel like I need 10 clients in order to feel like I'm enough, if you were to ask me, and if you were to ask the spiritual side of yourself, like the all-knowing side of yourself. I'm sure you can see getting those 10 clients won't help you. It'll fill the void within you that says, I need this to be enough. But what you've neglected is the side of you that just feels enough regardless, right? And then all of a sudden, even if you do achieve those 10 clients, all of a sudden now you live in fear that you're going to lose them because they mean your worthiness. They mean, as long as I have these 10 clients, I'm going to feel like I'm enough and worthy of love. So you're going to live in fear that you're going to lose those clients, right? I'm sure this can resonate with you guys for money, for success, for attention, for whatever accolades you want to achieve. So one of the worst things you can happen is to achieve from that place. If you just be getting that to fill the void within yourself because you think something externally needs to happen in order for you to feel internally. And this is the type of shift. This is the type of movement that is called to me to expand. And so if it calls to you to expand this type of awareness, I want to partner with you and think of creative ways in which we can do this. The alternative, in which we're all learning here in the community and on this call, is that you can create the awareness and the love within yourself by loving these 5-year-olds, by identifying, being aware of these patterns and loving these sides of you. You can start to feel, you can start to remember and realize that you are enough regardless of what's happening externally, regardless of what's happening internally. You are enough. What are you at the core? You're just energy, right? We're all made of the same stuff. We are all made of the same stuff. What makes one person more worthy than the next? It's a story, right? It's all a story. And so when you meditate and when you drop those stories, you start to realize the truth of what you are. And so when you can start to resolve your internal conflicts by doing these exercises and by raising this awareness, you can actually start achieving as a byproduct, right? You can start feeling how you want to internally, realizing how worthy, enough, loved, abundance you are. And from that place, you now have more to give. You can now start expanding because you're operating at a different level. The way in which you're being throughout your life, throughout your business, how you're interacting with everyone else, how you're being is just on a higher level of consciousness, right? It's just a higher level of consciousness. Therefore, what you're looking to achieve will just be a byproduct, right? Because you'll be operating at such a creative, insightful level. You'll just be so resourceful. And so many people will be attracted to that, right? So many people will be attracted to you and what you're doing and your journey. They'll want to work with you because you're safe, because you don't need them. You're just on this journey. I truly believe the growth of this group and this tribe has just been a byproduct. Just because like I said on one of the videos, I sit down in meditation, I let go of the stories, and I genuinely, one of the questions I ask myself is, how can I serve this community? And I just feel so much love for you guys, so much love for how much we're all going through, how much we're supporting each other, what we're willing to do, right? This is a free group, and we've got 16 people on here who just jumped on. I didn't send any personal reminders out. You're all jumping on here because you're driven to develop this side of you, right? You're developed to find out what you're all about. And I think that's all a byproduct of just how I've been being. And I've just asked myself the question of, how can I serve this community? How can I grow it? And, what movement can we create here? How can we help each other? And all those different things. So I'm coming up with many different ideas, and I'm glad you guys are benefiting. And that's why I call upon you guys, if you're inspired to co-create with me, then feel free to reach out. Let's get on a call, because I'm more than happy to see how we can come up with creative ways of expanding this and creating a movement moving forward. Because there's so many people out there, I'm sure you can see, so many people out there who live in fear and scarcity and doubt, and they're trying to achieve to fill that void. What we're doing is we're starting to meditate. We're starting to look internally. We're starting to realize what's actually happening within us. It could be dangerous for us to achieve while we're operating from the place of fear and scarcity, because that'll just feed in the addiction, right? Feed in the addiction, and it'll never be enough. All right. I'm a work in progress, of course. Andrew, I'm glad to be on this call. Me too, my friend. Me too. And the best thing about this, because you guys are starting to meditate, some of you are doing an hour meditation, like daily. So you'll see that this just goes deeper, right? This just goes deeper. Even the other day, I had a mini freak out because I was, because talking about this success, I'm like, what if I lose this community and this tribe? I'm like, I'll be just fine, right? I'll be just fine. And that's why I'm able to serve at such a high level, right? Because there's not that scarcity of neediness. There's now room for creativity, room for flow. I'm sure you guys can feel when I'm on these calls, I'm in flow. I love this. I love it so much. I'm not here from obligation. I'm not here because I, feel like I need to be. I'm here because I want to. I mean, it puts me in flow to do this. This is why I jumped on and I wanted to do these calls. Okay, Jess. I achieved what I want. I achieved what I wanted twice already. Anyone can create circumstances they desire, but finding out outside before it comes from within, it fades over and over. Yeah. It just fades, right? It just fades because you always feel like you need that next breakthrough, that next level of success. This is all cool. So guys, just feel this and feel what's coming up for you. Feel what's coming up for you, right? And let your body feel what the next steps are. It won't give you all the steps. It'll give you one next step. What is it that you want to do? What is it that your body pulls you? When you tap into your heart, when you tap into your creativity, when you tap into your flow, what is that next pull? Right? What is that pull that your heart is guiding you to do? And your brain may have no idea on why. I organized these calls and started to just give away all of this for free because it was a calling. It was a pull. It's my heart was saying, do this. It'll put you in flow. I have no clue if I'm going to get anything from it. I have no clue. I'm just following what my heart's guiding me to do. And my head's freaking out because my head doesn't know what I'm going to get from it, right? So maybe type in number one if you've been meditating from the last call. If you've been doing some sort of meditation, Stephen, Barbara, Sim, Vince, Mel, Hannah, Kerry, Jess. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? Wendy, welcome. Wendy, I haven't said hi to you yet. She says, but when there's no music, I fall asleep. I fall asleep all the time too, trust me. We need to start a group of falling asleep or meditating group. It'll expand so quickly. So guys, feel this. Feel this. Feel the energy. Feel what you're feeling. And practice feeling it with no resistance. Practice feeling it with no judgment, right? No judgment. Like what we said last call, right? You feel these fears, The fear comes up, and then there's also another you that has the judgment about the fear that says, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I should be feeling something else. I should be over this already. Right? Observe all of that. Love all of that. Love all the sides of you that are coming up. Love all the sides. And then from that flow, from that creative space, see what comes up for you. A question I get from the community, and a question I ask myself all the time, is that how can I trust this? When do I know to trust my head or trust my heart? And I go back to what Michael Singer always says. He says, you can trust a heart that loves what is. It goes back to also what Byron Katie says, right? Loving what is. If you can love what is, if you can love the world around you for what it is, and you don't need anything to change, and you don't need you to change, so you love all of you love all of what's happening, and you accept what's happening, you accept reality fully, that's the place where you can trust the mind, you can trust the heart. You can trust whatever's coming through, because it's not being filtered by a past pattern, right? It's not being driven by a pattern of who you think you need to be and what you think needs to happen in order for you to be enough. So when you are in meditation, this is what I do. In meditation, I focus on everything, and I just accept and love everything. That doesn't mean I'm not putting my influence on the world and taking action so that I can create the change that I want to see, but it's creating a base of just really just loving and accepting everything with no judgment, no resistance. From that place, you'll have so much creativity to create change, but you'll be creating it from such a creative place because you feel like it doesn't need to change, right? It doesn't have to change. You accept it for what it is, and therefore you're able to influence the way you want to influence. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type in the chat box and see what's coming up for you. If you have any questions, more than happy to answer. But the biggest takeaway, what you can do time and time and time again, and what all these groups doing when they meditate is do that, right? Is just feel. Andrew, how do I clear a heaviness over my heart? Awesome. I'm sure a lot of these guys will resonate with that. Me too. Like I said, when I meditate, I get a tension around the chest, right? So I'm sure you can see, Andrew, from this exercise, you can feel the heaviness on your chest, right? Feel the heaviness over your heart. Now, what judgment do you have about that heaviness? What do you feel? What do you think and feel about that heaviness? Yeah, it shouldn't be there. Got it. It's awesome, right? That's awesome. And me too. This is just a deeper level of awareness, right? Every single thing that comes up for me, I'll be feeling it all day. I'll be feeling such resistance all day until I sit down and meditate. You know, later on in the evening, I'll be like, oh, okay, I was resisting it. I thought it shouldn't be there. Even yesterday, I'm going through so much ideas with this pen and paper of of creating a new program, of helping people create communities like I've created here and what you guys are doing yourself, and you know, a process of helping people overcome these patterns so that their business can grow. And I'm coming up with all these new offers and new programs and a new niche. And for about 3 weeks, I've been doing this, and I only just yesterday or the day before caught myself thinking I should know it by now, right? But when I accept and love the fact that I don't know the answers yet, and I love the side of me that thinks they need to know the answers, bang, create a different level of creativity, a different level of insight, a different level of abundance, a different level of peace. So that's awesome. Awesome, Andrew. So Andrew, just for a moment, I'd love to know what would happen and what you feel when you sit down and you breathe and you feel this heaviness over your heart. And instead of saying, what do I do about it? Just be there for it. Just be there for it. Just feel it. And feel it without judgment. Feel it without resistance. And notice what happens. This may be a 5-year-old pattern, right? That says, I'm feeling this heaviness over my heart because things aren't the way I think they should be. Or I'm not the way they should be. I'm not the way I should be. So be there for this heaviness. Provide love for this heaviness. Provide the safe space for this heaviness. If anyone has any questions and anyone would like to talk with me for a minute, we don't have a lot of time here, but if anyone would like to talk for a minute, type in 2 in the chat box if you want me to bring up and so I see Stephen's got a hand raised. Stephen, let me promote you to a panelist and we'll have a chat. Stephen, my man. So you can feel free to unmute yourself and let's have a chat.
Yep.
How are you?
Good, Matt. How are you doing?
Very well. Very well.
Thank you once again.
No problem. I didn't get a chance to read your long message in the chat, but feel free to. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or at least have a discussion on something that's coming up for you.
Kind of, I think, follows on from what I mentioned last week about not allowing myself to dig deep enough for whatever reason. And this morning, the insight came about where when I was younger and my parents would try and encourage me to go and read and learn or go and study or do things like that, it was never for me. It was all about them. So I used to do the opposite. And if I was studying, I'd have a comic book inside the book I was supposed to be reading. Anyway, that kind of that same pattern occurs when I'm around people I'm comfortable with and family or something. So even doing a simple thing like morning push-ups, if my wife's around, I won't do it until she goes because I don't want her to see me improving. So, but out there, as you know me, I love helping people grow and improve, and I can excel in that area. So I think it's more around when I'm around people who are family or friends, I behave differently because I don't want to. That 5-year-old in me is telling me to not do it. Does that explain?
Totally. So what's the so I hear what you're saying. So there's a side of you that wants to sort of hide away your growth, right? And hide away what you're doing. And that's important to recognize. That's a good level of awareness, right? So I think what's really key as well is that when we meditate, this will help not only everyone on the call, but also me to remind myself. When we meditate, the idea it can come from an egoic place to going deep, right? So when we meditate and when we do this work, there's a side of us at some level that says, I need to get something out of it. And so when we sit down and we meditate and there can be a side of us that says, oh, I'm not getting a whole lot, I'm not doing a whole lot, or this isn't working, or I need to go deeper. How do I go deeper? Like there's an achiever there that says, I need to get something out of this, instead of just being, right? I can sit down for an hour and stress out the whole time, and I'm still doing it right. There's no doing it wrong. If you're sitting down there, you're just realizing that you are being, right?
Yeah.
So that's also an important awareness as well, is to just realize that there's never doing it wrong. You're never doing it wrong. There's always something, there's always a different level of awareness to come out of it. And even if you're just so stressed on the surface, giving yourself the ability to feel that means you may still feel stressed on the surface, but you can trust yourself in realizing that underneath there's being some cleansing and some clearing, right? So people know the video I made in the group the other day, I was just crying. I was just bawling my eyes out because I was doing this inner work as well. On the surface, I felt so sad, right? But the story, what was crying out of me was an old story. So on the surface, it felt stressed, or it felt pressure, or it felt sadness, but underneath there was a cleansing, right? So that's also really important to recognize. Another thing to recognize is that you don't actually need to know where this pattern came from. The pattern of fear, doubt, and frustration, we can gain some awareness in realizing that it is from our past and these childhood patterns of wanting to feel enough. We actually don't need to know that. What we actually need to do is just be in the present moment and feel it. It doesn't actually really matter where it came from. So what comes up for you, Stephen? What comes up for you when, awesome job on the insight and breakthrough, especially while you're out walking. I think that's a good piece of awareness, because when we're out walking, we can shift our physiology. We can sort of get out of our patterns. So it's really cool that you were able to tap into a deeper side of yourself.
I think it started with the morning. When I wake up, I stay in bed and I try and do the meditation then. And because I've been struggling, I listened to that link that Lynette put up the last time, and it's guided, and it's allowed me to watch the meditation instead of being the meditator and trying to control it.
Nice.
And allowed me to get into a different zone and have everything, like you said, around you that I recognize and love and allow to be there, and not fight it, even noises in the house. And I got into this zone that I hadn't been into before, and like looking from the out in. And
what was that like?
It was excellent. It was in a position I hadn't experienced before being awake. It was calm.
What were you observing?
I think that's where I realized that I could tap into whatever I wanted to in my own comfort zone, because I allowed it.
Notice that you allowed it, right? You allowed it to be there. You allowed it to be there because consciously or unconsciously, you started to realize that you are not what's coming up, right? You're the observer. You're the observer of what's coming up. So there's sort of a few levels. When I sit down and meditate, I'm in my head all the time, right? Just like a lot of us, that's the default. That's just part of being human. It's also a beautiful thing to be in your head and everything like that. When you sit down, you start to realize that you can start to pay attention to your body, pay attention to your heart, pay attention to that thing that's beating your heart. You can tap into a more spiritual side. But then from your heart, you can also realize that you're not even your heart. You're not even the thing beating your heart. You're the one that's observing all of that, right? You can start to realize that the truth is that you're the space that all that exists in. You know, some people in yoga or meditation practices will call that the watcher, right? The watcher space. Yeah. Is that what you experienced?
Yes. I did become the watcher, because I think I heard that terminology. But I did get uncomfortable with the meditation when my wife woke up and started getting up and doing stuff.
Great.
Which might have been the set off for everything else about feeling uncomfortable, getting caught doing those certain things that are beneficial to me.
Awesome. Feel that, right? Feel it. Feel it. All that is another younger you coming up, right? I do this all the time when I'm on public transport or whatever, and I just want to have a quick rest. I have judgments of other people that I'm like, oh my God, they're going to look at me and they're going to They're going to know that I'm sleeping. For some reason, like that's something I'm fearful of, is people judging me while I'm sleeping, right?
Well, maybe you can elaborate why you fear that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't need to know why. I just need to I just need to love that side of me, right? I just need to feel fully being uncomfortable in that situation, and doing that, like feeling that fully, feeling that uncomfortable feeling, and feeling it fully without resistance, right? Without judgment. And then when I do that, I can provide the loving, safe space for that younger me that thinks I'm being judged, that worries about being judged.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what would it be like for you, Stephen, if you were to sit down on a busy Melbourne street and meditate?
I love seeing someone sitting on the beach, just sitting all by themselves, and you can see them staring at the water, meditating. It kind of made me think maybe I want to do that, but to combine the meditation and walk and everything else that I need to do is a bit challenging. I want to get comfortable. I suppose it was just your question. I want to allow myself to be more comfortable in the situations that I am feeling uncomfortable in. Unconditionally love that fear in myself around that and grow with it, because I can certainly add value when I get to that position.
Yeah, exactly. Think of the value you can add for someone when in all of their doubts, right? All of their fears. The reason why I meditate a lot, and I'm on the challenge of meditating 2 hours a day for 90 days, is so I can be in the position where I can be the space for other people to do the same.
Yeah.
Right? All the challenges that people are going through, I know I've gone through it as well. All the fears and doubts are coming up within me, and I'm just going even deeper, so that I can be that space for someone else, and so that I can provide the love, the insight, the creativity, to just help this community grow, help this community be more aware, help this community shift fundamentally inside, so they can create the world they want externally, so they can achieve the business they want externally, right? So,
and I think also getting to the stage of learning to be grateful for what I have achieved and what I do have, and being happy, and from that will come my abundance and my own new level of confidence.
Yeah.
So everyone can win.
Yeah. Yeah. And you sort of start to realize that the confident you isn't something that you need to reach or achieve. It's already there. It's almost like before how we were saying all the answers you need are already inside you, right? You just need to tap into them. And it's very similar. All the sides of us that are capable of achieving what we want to achieve are already inside of us. And it's almost like I like to switch the question of what do I need to do or what do I need to achieve. It's almost like what do I need to let go of to realize that I don't need any of that. And when you get into the place where what story do I need to drop? Maybe people can write in the chat to finish up here. I know, Yen, you wanted to jump on as well, but maybe I can jump on a call with you after this. But the question is, what story do I need to drop that's going to allow me to realize who I am and realize that I don't actually need to achieve that thing? What story do I need to drop to realize that I don't need to achieve that external thing? And like you're saying, Stephen, from that place is where you can actually give the value that you want to give. Yes. And for those who are on the call, what Stephen does, he helps basically helps people financially in real estate, helping people build a real estate portfolio that's going to provide, provide that financial abundance for them. And like you're saying, Stephen, you can have so much creativity and insight when you are at a point where you realize that internally is you are who you need to be, right? You just need to start letting go of some of the stories and loving the sides of you unconditionally that need to be loved, so you can tap into that side of yourself. And that's what you're starting to find. So I'm sure you can even start to challenge yourself and say, when I'm meditating, when I'm doing my push-ups in the morning, maybe I can start doing that when the family's there, when the wife's there, See what comes up for you. Be curious of what's coming up. Be curious of what's coming up and what side of you is coming up that needs to be loved, right?
That's one way of finding out. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, and me too. When I started my coaching career, I was so scared with posting something about personal development or coaching or business, and I had all these fears come up, and I had to learn how to feel those, love those sides of me, love the fears of judgment, doubt, frustration. Even with this, same thing. Even with this group, it's the same thing. So yeah, one thing you guys can write down for yourself is, what story do you need to let go of to realize that you don't need to achieve that external thing to feel worthy, to feel enough. And that's a really, really cool place you can work from. You can even meditate on it for a little bit and start to unravel those stories and start to pay attention to who you really are. And it's from that place where you can have so much creativity to just go out and achieve, because you know you don't need to feel a certain way, but you're doing it from a pull, right? You feel pulled. I feel pulled to create a movement here and create a community where we can all band together to create something big, right? That's what I feel pulled to do. I don't feel pushed to do it because I need to be somebody. I need to do something to feel a certain way. I feel pulled because it feels aligned. So that's the real creative question: is what stories do I need to drop so that I feel aligned and so that I feel in flow, so I can tap into my creative genius.
Yeah.
Right. Before we finish up, does anything else come up for you, Stephen? Any other questions?
Nope. No, just it's going to take work and effort, and well, it is an ongoing life cycle, learning forever and ever, and something I'd like to one day join. When I join all the dots, looking back, be able to help others on the same kind of journey, or keep introducing them to you.
Yeah, feel free to invite them into the group and invite them on these calls. Like I said, everything in here is free. I'm just glad that a lot of people on here are starting to invite their friends and invite their communities and things like that into a group like this. And the more that happens, the more I just feel, I just have that sense that I just want to continue to give. So I'm more than happy to do that. And I'm glad you're part of the journey, man.
And if I may correct you, I don't think everything is free here. Everything is of value here.
Yes, everything's of value. Yes, that's something I need to continue to remind myself as well, is that a lot of people are giving up their time, energy, and effort as well to be on these calls. And yeah, it's not the time, but it's definitely the value. So yeah, something I need to remind myself of as well. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
And you got me smiling with a lot of what you said. So thank you for that.
Cool. Even if I didn't, that's not the point.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, Stephen. I appreciate it. What else can we do here? So that's basically what I offer for you guys, is to start to feel, start to experience without judgment, without resistance, and be there for yourself. Be there for yourself in a way that you haven't been before. Love the sides of you that haven't been loved before. Love the sides of you unconditionally that haven't been unconditionally loved before. And you'll start to feel a different level of flow, a different level of creativity, and that will start to pull you. Right? It'll start to pull you. What I'm going to do in the next few weeks, because these calls are weekly until we get to about Christmas. On the day of Christmas and Boxing Day, we're not going to have a call, but moving forward, what I'm going to do is share with you guys a few models that I'm creating to help you dive in deeper and help you explain this a bit more. And we can even tie this into more business talk as well, if you guys want to do more of a business talk and see how you can use this and how you can tap into a deeper side of you and then apply that into your business, right? Apply that into your messaging, your marketing, the way in which you create an offer, how you go about expanding your community and your tribe. That's something I'm passionate about as well. It's something that I'm going through right now. So I am more than happy to have a chat about what that will look like. But for those who are joining me next week on Michael Griffith's the group, the mastermind call, I'll see you on there. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to be part of this, if you want to be more actively engaged in the community and create this movement and spread this message. I'm more than happy to partner with you guys, team up with you guys, co-create, collaborate, and see what we can do together. I don't see this as my community, I see this as our community. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and this has been an awesome call. I love talking about this stuff, and so glad you guys are getting a lot of the benefits. So thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the group. Take care now, guys.